Hello there everyone, welcome back to the Star Wars Dojo YouTube channel. Thank you guys for tuning into the video. Today we're going to be going over Season 1, Episode 1 of the Bad Batch Breakdown, and let's get into the video. Alright, so the episode begins on the planet Collar with Depa Billaba and Caleb Dume, aka Kanan Jarrus, from Rebels. It is him as a Padawan, and that is his master, Depa Billaba. They are fighting off battle droids and everything like that, and then the Bad Batch comes down from the mountain following that behind from a giant rock. They end up taking out all the battle droids, introducing themselves, Depa Billaba and Caleb Dume, Kanan Jarrus. And then Tech gets a notification that Obi-Wan has just pushed up on Grievous and they are dueling, and that is going on. And then shortly later, Order 66 happens. The Emperor Palpatine hologram pops up on the clone trooper's hologram, and then he begins to shoot Depa Billaba, and all the clones that are with her begin to shoot, and Caleb Dume turns around and his master demands him to run. You just hear the blaster shots of his master getting shot up, and she dies. Caleb is running away as fast as he can. Hunter, a member from the Bad Batch, begins to chase after Caleb to let him know everything's okay. He doesn't seem to be affected by the chip. The only one that ends up seeming to be affected by the chip is Crosshair, because they end up finding Caleb in the woods, and Crosshair begins to shoot at Caleb, and Caleb kicks Crosshair into a tree and runs to a canyon valley area where Hunter puts down his weapons and tries to calm him down, and Kanan Jarrus, or Caleb Dume, jumps over the canyon. Crosshair shows up. Hunter says that the Padawan fell into the canyon and he's dead. They eventually fly to Kamino to figure out what's going on. They realize all the other clones are acting very strange, very weird. Eventually, Crosshair is accusing Hunter of letting the Padawan live. They call in the hearing for Palpatine's New Empire speech. This is actually the same exact speech that Palpatine gives in The Revenge of the Sith. The Bad Batch, they realize everyone is acting really weird about this whole Empire thing. After the Empire speech, Omega catches up with the Clone Force 99 in the hallways, aka the Bad Batch. She explains she knows who everyone is: Tex, Wrecker, Crosshair, Echo, Hunter. She knows all of them. Nala Se comes up behind Omega, and they are wearing the same pendant. Nala Se basically says that Omega is her medical assistant, and if you don't know, the last letter in Greek alphabet is Omega, so meaning last clone. We'll figure out more about, I'll tell you more about that later. Tarkin eventually shows up and wants to speak with Lama Su about stopping the clone production, and Lama Su explains that there's still a contract between the Republic, and Tarkin basically explains that the Republic is no more and that they want to have normal soldiers. And Lama Su tells him nobody's better than my clones, and Tarkin wants to be proved wrong. And eventually the scene changes. Omega joins the Bad Batch at the lunch table. The boys ask Omega where her parents are, and she's like, parents, as if she doesn't know what they are or who they are, which kind of gives a hint to her possibly being a clone. Eventually, a bunch of other clones show up, cause trouble. Omega starts a food fight, and then the boys end up beating up everybody there. And then, as the food lunch fight is over, the boys are walking the hallway, and then are asked to fight in the training facility. When they thought they were going to get in trouble, they actually got called in to go to the training facility. The boys destroyed everything, proving Tarkin wrong. And they showed the new Gen 1 Death Trooper droids, the ones we see in The Mandalorian. Obviously, these ones are the older first prototypes looking droids. But yeah, the Bad Batch ends up destroying everything, proving Tarkin wrong, that they're a very powerful group. And Tarkin speaks to Nala Se and Lama Su about Clone Force 99. Nala Se explains that there's only 5 defected clones, or special clones, which is the Bad Batch. Tarkin sends the Bad Batch on a mission to test their loyalty to the Empire, to make sure their inhibitor chips are still working correctly. They were sent to kill a group of insurgents on the Onderon sector. It turned out to be Saw Gerrera and his rebellion fighters. They had captured the Bad Batch, and the Bad Batch know of Saw Gerrera, and they trust him because he and his fighters were trained by General Skywalker and Captain Rex. And Saw Gerrera explains that Palpatine is taking over the galaxy and things aren't right, and Crosshair in the meantime is just looking very weird and wants to fulfill his orders and kill everyone there. And he argues with Hunter. Hunter, lets them go, and Crosshair gets upset at him, and Hunter ends up shooting a probe droid behind all of that had been spying on them, and they look at it and they don't trust the Empire anymore. Well, at least the main boys, everyone besides Crosshair, doesn't seem to trust the Empire anymore. Eventually they get to the ship. Tech explains Omega is the 5th clone because Echo was just a normal clone trooper. The boys race back to Kamino to get to Omega, only to be locked up for treason against the Empire. They went there to get Omega, and they take Crosshair out of the cell because they noticed he listened and his chip is slightly working, and they end up electrocuting him and to make sure that he's 100% following orders. And Tech eventually has Wrecker punch a hole out of the cell, where Omega climbs out and gets the boys out, and they break out of their cell and get to a hangar to leave. And as they're in the hangar getting their gear and guns and everything to leave, Crosshair is in a new Empire gear and confronts them and ends up shooting at them. He ends up shooting Wrecker. Wrecker gets down, and in the meantime Omega picks up a blaster and makes a perfect shot at Crosshair with a blaster, and they get on the ship, and the clones try to close the bay doors, but Nala Se ends up overriding the command to close the doors because she doesn't want anything to happen to Omega. She wants her to get out alive and escape. And then eventually when they're in space, they talk about going to a planet called J19, where people are theorizing that Cut Lawquane is the clone in, can't remember exactly what season, but he was in the Clone Wars. A clone in the Clone Wars who gave up his life to have a family. And they could possibly maybe even find Rex there too, from the trailers that we saw in the Bad Batch commercials. Anyways, guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, I will be making another Bad Batch Episode 2 review later tomorrow or within the next couple days. Stay tuned for that, and thank you guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think, and if you guys love Star Wars, definitely hit that like button and subscribe, and there will be much more Star Wars content on the way, and I will see you guys later. May the Force be with you, always.